The Orange Zone, sponsored by Billy Whitaker Cars and Trucks and Apex Entertainment.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Orange Zone Podcast Bowl Edition. We have Ashley Wenskoski. We have former SU running back and Super Bowl champion James Mungro. Rachel Culver is on the producer mic. I'm Samantha Croston. We're coming to you after we found out which bowl Syracuse will be playing in. They are going to the DirecTV Holiday Bowl in San Diego against Washington State on December 27th.
Ooh.
How are we feeling?
Feeling great. I mean, we did what we had to do to go to a good bowl game. I think this bowl game is the second best bowl game that the conference has, besides the, obviously the playoffs. But Syracuse did what they had to do to put the name on the map, and we're going to San Diego.
Christmas in San Diego for Syracuse football, and maybe us. We'll see.
I doubt
James just gave me a hard I doubt that. We'll see. Put that in the debatable category for right now.
That's what Ashley wants under her Christmas tree.
Please send me to some sun. I beg. Yes, exciting. I know a lot of fans wanted, Miami's in the Pop-Tart Bowl, but I think Miami falling out of the playoff kind of put them in that first caliber bowl, the Pop-Tart Bowl. A lot of fans were excited about the Gator Bowl in Florida. That would have been an SEC opponent. But I mean, the Holiday, like you said, the Holiday Bowl, one of the better bowls they've ever been in. I think more fan reaction, what I gauged from social media and whatnot, the Holiday Bowl was upsetting in the fact that it's across the country. It's a third time on the West Coast. Doesn't really help in recruiting. A lot of factors there. But it was also, I think, really the opponent. Washington State is not thrilling for fans, I feel like.
I agree with that. Here's the other thing, though. I mean, as far as they could have been in a better bowl, totally agree.
Yeah.
I really think that they could have been in. I mean, yeah, obviously the Miami situation kind of knocked them out of the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but I understand where fans felt upset and wanted them to be in the Gator Bowl instead. I do think that would have been better, and I do think it could have been either team. Not to say that it's Duke who's in it, right?
Yes.
Not to say Duke didn't deserve it. That's also a 9-3 team. But
I wonder if the Gator Bowl or the Holiday Bowl picked first, because I kind of feel like Syracuse would have been the top choice. So there's something in my head that says that the Holiday Bowl picked first and picked Syracuse.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But as far as the recruiting, I am just going to say it. I know that Fran Brown, being the way that he is, views this as an opportunity.
Sure.
And you were at the press conference yesterday. Wasn't he saying something to the effect of, we kind of already have some sort of a fan base there?
Yes, he was talking about SU-LA is a thing. I know Newhouse has an LA campus, so he was saying that he's been out there and maybe he's seen it when they went out there a few times. But I don't think Fran Brown looks at everything as an opportunity. Everyone's going to say this doesn't help in recruiting. It's not one of our primary recruiting areas, but Fran Brown's going to say that it is, and he's going to start getting kids in from California, and maybe he will.
And even if it's not a primary recruiting spot, let's just say it's a spot where kids don't normally come from.
Sure.
Isn't that an opportunity too?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. We do have a lot of alumni out in California. Syracuse is very big with alumni in California. That's why we have the different things out there, the schools and stuff like that. But they did what they had to do. And they're in a bowl game. We all should be happy that they're in a bowl game. Their record is unbelievable. And when you talk about recruiting-wise, I think they did enough to show the country and show what they have with their players and everything. So I think it's just going to be helping. I believe it's really helpful to be out west as well.
And at the end of the day, I mean, it's a prime time. It's on national television. I mean, on the 27th, it's on Fox at 8 o'clock. So it's not like there's going to be no eyes on this game. And to that transition, I think that means that some people are going to play that may have been questionable in our eyes if they were going to play.
Let's just address that elephant in the room right off the top.
Sure.
All right, so at the press conference yesterday, I know that a lot of y'all who are listening to this podcast probably saw that press conference. Lots to interpret there. And I think that we both realize, Ashley and I, that sometimes when Fran Brown is saying something, even though it appears one way, it's never going to be 100% accurate until it's true and you actually see him on the field. But Ashley's pulling it up right now. We're going to read the direct quote of what Fran Brown actually said as far as, is Kyle McCord playing, yes or no? And here it is.
I am going to.
And it's not here yet, but it's going to be here in a second.
He said, I think he's playing. He was going back and forth with Chris Carlson, one of the reporters at Syracuse.com, by the way, who is great at his job with asking Fran questions. He said, I think he's playing. He loves football. And then he was like, do you love football? He was going back and forth with Chris. But the direct quote was, hold on. I'm playing the video, so bear with me here, which I actually just had it written out. He said, I think Kyle's playing, though. Kyle is playing football. If we are going to have a football game, Kyle McCord will play in the football game until the NCAA says Kyle can't play football anymore. Then he'll stop playing football and he'll go on to the next level, which also some fans have been reading into that on social media. I'll get to that in a minute. But then he said whenever there's a football game, he'll be at it. If we call the game in 2 hours and we said that we were about to have a game, Kyle would probably be the first one there to play. And then he went on to say, Chris, asked if anybody's opted out at this point, and Fran Brown said, we don't opt out around here. We like to play football. And he ended the whole thing by saying, Kyle McCord is our quarterback. So no, he never explicitly said Kyle McCord is going to play in the Holiday Bowl. But sometimes I think Fran likes to leave that stuff up to interpretation for the opponent, for the media, for all of it. I don't know. I think that's about as close as you are going to get to Fran saying, yes, he is playing in the game.
I'll say this. If Kyle, you could go on this shot for a minute. Like if Kyle McCord playing in the bowl game is here and Kyle McCord is not playing in the bowl game is here, Fran was like, here.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much the best he
warm.
can do.
He's warm.
He's warm. Do I still think that things could change? Yes, because things can always change. But I appreciated the fact that even when he was asked about everybody, because it's not just Kyle McCord who I think fans want to know about, he had that definite mentality of, we want our kids to play, and we're gonna. It seemed to me to appear as though he was going to encourage them to play if they want to.
Yes, I know some fans read into that quote about until Kyle McCord's NCAA eligibility read out. I've seen some stuff on Twitter about that.
What does that even mean?
So Fran said Kyle McCord is going to play college football until the NCAA tells him he can't anymore, and then he'll go on to the next level. And some fans are like, Kyle McCord is out of NCAA eligibility right now, just so we're all on the same page. Ryan Day famously burned his red shirt at Ohio State. That was a whole drawn-out thing. There are some fans theorizing that McCord will apply for a waiver to get a 5th year and to get another year to come back to Syracuse. I personally don't have any info, but if you're just asking me, I don't think that's going to happen. But there are some people theorizing that that could be the case.
It's a lot of stuff right there.
It's reading between the lines right there.
A lot of stuff there.
I think that's kind of wishful thinking by Syracuse fans, if I'm being honest.
know-
McCord has been on radio shows and been on ESPN talking about preparing for the NFL draft.
But, I do think Kyle should play in the game. I honestly do. I think his stock will go up by playing in the game, as long as he has a good game, obviously. But, Kyle is the quarterback here, and, if he does get an extra year, that would be really good. And I think his stock would even go even higher, the first 3 quarterbacks taken, next year. But we don't know that. We're all speculating stuff.
Yeah, that was just speculation. Let's be clear
Yeah,
about
that was
that.
speculation. And everything I said about it, I don't know anything. What I said was speculation. Just be abundantly clear.
Our own rumors.
Our own rumors.
But the big question is now too as well though. Okay, Kyle plays in the game. Everything goes out perfectly. Washington State, how are their players? Now I'm hearing a lot of stuff about their players.
Yeah.
Their players is 15 guys supposed to be in the transporter portal. How's that going to happen? They're going to have a quarterback. The running back is so far as entered the portal.
They don't have either coordinator. They lost their offensive and defensive coordinator.
And the quarterback supposedly is really close with the offensive coordinator that went to Oklahoma. So therefore, this is me just reading the papers out in San Diego.
This is you starting a rumor.
I'm not starting a rumor. I'm just reading some things, trying to brush up, see what we know. But, I think it's going to be interesting. But I do think that, for Syracuse fans and Syracuse players, I think Syracuse players should play in the game because it's going to make their stock go higher. I mean, the competition is very, very – it's very – you got to break through somehow.
Yeah.
And this is the time where you can break through and show people that haven't seen you on the West Coast or people haven't seen you all throughout the nation some of the skills you have.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting discussion. Personally, I'd be shocked if McCord didn't at least play a half. I think he's going to play. But if you
play a half, why wouldn't you play the whole game?
Well, sure. I don't know. I'm not a quarterback. I'm just saying, I think we're going to see him out there. I don't know if it's going to be the whole game because... But see, then I see the point of getting hurt for the NFL draft, but then a part of me is like, well, you could get hurt in any game. You're taking that risk every single time you take the football
The competition
field.
for quarterbacks out there right now that are going, for in the draft, it's tight. It's tight.
Yeah.
So he has to separate himself somehow.
Well, I'm going to say this. I don't even think this is an unpopular opinion. He's not good enough to just be sitting games out with the other competition out there.
No.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yes.
He needs to get his ass out there and play.
I'm glad you said that.
Which is also why, maybe, again, a rumor, maybe a 5th year would benefit him. him. I don't know. That's not my business. The two guys I have on my eyes, though, I will say to maybe not play in the game or play less would be Aronde Gadsden and maybe Marlo Wax, right? Those are the two guys coming off of injury. Aronde, I feel like, is kind of just fragile at all times and possibly the highest guy on the draft boards that Syracuse could have. And Marlo's kind of recently coming off of that injury. So those two are the two that I would pick out. I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't know. I think Marlo needs some more tape. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I think he needs some more tape out there. Yes, he's an excellent football player, but he hasn't been on the field a lot. So therefore, coaches at the next level is going to look at that and say, well, listen, is this man injury prone? And there's a lot of things that gets involved with that whole thing. So I think the more football Marlo could play, the better he's going to be.
But just to play devil's advocate for 1 second, does one more game of football tape really elevate your stock that much? I mean, maybe it does. I don't know. But just one more game for Marlo Wax, does one more game for Kyle McCord after he just beat Miami and Cam Ward make a difference?
I think it depends on the player.
True.
I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I think for someone like Gadsden, at this point, it kind of is what it is.
Right.
But if you're sort of somewhere in that mix or you're kind of right on the line and it is a nationally televised game, maybe. But also to your point, not a good opponent, but not a great one.
Yeah.
That's also something
And
to
there's
keep in
another
mind.
thing, too, that I was thinking about as well, is that with these NIL deals, are they writing in the contract that the guy has to play in the bowl game?
They should start, in my opinion.
I mean,
it would make more guys play.
That's
I mean,
sincerely an interesting point.
That's something that, the people, will look into,
Yeah.
It will start to be involved in the conversation as you continue to see day by day college athletics becoming more like a business.
Totally.
So that's something to keep in mind. But just to preview this matchup, I'm going to read some of these bullets straight from the paper because I want to preview this for you guys. So Syracuse is facing the Cougars, an 8-4 team. Washington State is one of just 2 surviving members of the old Pac-12 conference, along with Oregon State. They started the season 8-1, and then they lost 3 straight games to teams with losing records: New Mexico, Oregon State, and Wyoming. Ashley mentioned it, but their defensive coordinator, I believe it's Jeff Schmedding, he was fired. Their offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, recently departed to take the same position at Oklahoma. Tough situation for them. Last but not least, their quarterback, John Mateer, threw for over 3,000 yards and 29 touchdowns, which was the same as Kyle McCord. That's an interesting matchup to watch if they do both decide to play. On their side, one kid who is already out, will not be playing, is their running back, true freshman Wayshawn Parker, who had 735 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on the season. So that's already a big blow on their side as far as that's concerned.
Well, what are you saying all that? The Oklahoma coach, the offensive coordinator left, went to go Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
He has really strong ties with the quarterback. Now, God forbid the quarterback does not play in the bowl game. Washington's quarterback. I think the bowl game would be just terrible. It'll be
that
terrible.
Also changes the story as to whether or not someone like Kyle McCord might play.
100%.
Like if there's no quarterback for him to actually show up against and put, I don't know, numbers up against, I think it changes the story, and I don't think you see Kyle McCord play if the quarterback doesn't play on the other team.
This is the most angering part about bowl season to me.
Kyle's not going against the quarterback. Kyle's going against the defense.
True.
So
Of course,
he's showing his skills against the defense, and I think that's.
But I know what she means. It's not as high caliber of a matchup if not everybody's
it doesn't
playing.
mean as much.
I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know. This is powers above me. But in the coming years, we need to bump back the transfer portal opening.
No, this is ridiculous.
I mean, you're getting teams out here that are half the team. You've seen some teams throughout college football legitimately lose half of their team, and they're going to play a bowl game. Arkansas being one of them. I just feel like, I don't know if it needs to be January 2nd, January 3rd. We need to bump back the transfer portal.
I tell you what I would like to see too as well. I'll be honest with you with this whole thing. What we're talking about, I love the conversation, but I would like to see the statistics of the guys that are not playing in these bowl games, and then where they land out afterwards.
I know.
How long are they in the league for?
Yeah.
Did they get a shot, or did they just get cut during preseason? So I don't know. I love football, and I think a lot of these guys love football as well. That's why they play the game. So taking a game off, I love football. I wish I could put the pads back on. Well, I don't wish that, but so these guys, don't lose the opportunity of putting the pads on, because you never know once you cannot put those pads back on.
And I think
Bring in James as a guest speaker to the Syracuse football team, man.
Honestly. And I think to your point, just for a team like Syracuse, right, these are not surefire first-round draft picks, none of them.
Yes.
So for a team like that, it's all right, you're going to opt out, take your chances. That's your business if you want to do that.
And you don't know
but
what
maybe
these
it's
agents,
not the best choice.
You don't know what these agents are saying in these kids' ears too as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a whole nother side of it too. These guys saying, "Oh, don't play. You're going to ruin up your draft status and all that."
Sure.
But
And you
go
know
out there
what? Then
play.
to circle all the way back around, that's why schools need to protect themselves too.
Yeah.
Schools need to say, you know, if you're our star and we're paying you $600,000 to be here, then we want you to play
Better have
in the
your ass
last
on
game
the
of the
field.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it in the contract,
And
whatever they
that would
sign
be
for
fair.
NIL, yeah.
I think that would be completely and totally fair.
I
Because
agree.
you're right. Injury happens or could happen in any game. So if this is going to be something that's competitive where people take it seriously and it's a bowl game and a good bowl game and you're already 9-3 on the year and you want to get 10 wins,
And
like play. Go out there and play.
Now, another aspect too as well, like as a running back, now in a quarterback as well, any skill position, okay, quarterback and running back, I would say. Now, you have your offensive lineman, you've been with them the whole year. Now, 3 year offensive linemen are hurt or something like that. Now I would really consider of not playing in the game.
Yeah.
If the main guys are not playing. The other guys have been blocking for you. Now you're putting, second strings, third string guys in just to fill the hole. And yeah, I would never do that.
And I
And
guess
that's my point.
Kind
That's
of,
not-
yeah, what I'm saying on that is if you see one person not play, like if you see an Oronde Gaston not play, like I have a hard time believing that anybody else will.
Yeah, it's kind of a domino effect.
I think so.
Right. But I think I think these bowl games do matter, especially to a coach who now has taken over this program. I think Syracuse is a perfect example. Fran Brown comes in, takes over this program. They have a chance to win 10 games. They've only done that one time in the last 25 years. People will go back if Syracuse wins this game, which it appears that they have a good opportunity to do on paper, and say Syracuse went 10-3 last year.
That's a credit to
Yes.
the team, the coaching staff, because nobody thought that all this
No.
year. I mean, nobody. I mean, they were not in the picture of that. I would have been happy with over 500. And
Right.
then the early games, we were tough on them very early. I felt. I know I was. Because you're so excited to see the team doing so well, and you see the trajectory of how they're doing it, and then they lose a couple close ones, and they win a couple close ones as well, and it's like, oh man, you got to you got to sit back and think for a second. This coaching staff, this is the first time together. These kids are together with a new quarterback. That's a lot of stuff they had to do within 1 year to get it all together to come out with the W's that they had this year.
They weren't in the ACC title game. They weren't in the playoff conversation. But I don't think you can underestimate, right? Finishing the year with 10 wins, a marked improvement in a head coach's first season, that helps you in recruiting. To be able to go out this winter and say, we won 10 games last year. We finished the season nationally ranked. Right now, they're number 21 in the AP poll. Even if you are number 20 to 25, you finished the year nationally ranked, you can go tell all your recruits that.
100%. By the way, for what it's worth, if everybody does play in this game, they will win it, and
I
they
agree.
will have a 10-win season.
Confidently.
100%.
Well, I'll tell you one thing though. I mean, if the other team quarterback is playing in the game, I do feel like the other team's quarterback could cause us some problems, and it'll be a lot closer game than what we think it's going to be without him playing in the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, we'll obviously continue to update you guys on this as we go throughout this process. Probably will do another Syracuse football podcast in here before the bowl game.
Yeah.
A transfer portal roundup, maybe.
Yeah,
We've already
transfer
seen
portal
some guys
roundup.
enter their names.
I heard there's some guys, a quarterback, I guess, has been talking to Syracuse as well.
Allegedly, the LSU quarterback is here today on a visit, according to Mike McAllister.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So that's exciting. It is. I'm telling you, man. It is just heating
go
up.
down- you go-
Portal
Look,
season.
Do y'all remember last December?
10
No,
o'clock,
let's not talk
Dinosaur
about that
Barbecue,
December.
the quarterback will be there.
Last December, on top of Dino Babers getting fired, I blacked out last December. I don't know what happened.
Nope, me neither. That was insane. All right, final thoughts here on the bowl game, or even if you just have a thought on the season in general that you'd like to share, because Mungro, our time with you for this season's probably coming to an end pretty soon.
It is, I think. But something, Syracuse did a hell of a job this year, and I'm very proud of the university and very proud to say that I went to Syracuse University. Over the past few years, I wasn't able to say that. But now I'm back to be able to say I'm a very proud alumni from Syracuse because of what they've done on the field and off the field.
That's really beautiful.
That was stunning. I think what you take out of this season is Syracuse has put themselves back in the national conversation in a sense, right? You see Dabo Swinney getting up there this week and thanking Syracuse on ESPN for beating Miami and putting them in the college football playoff and giving them a chance to win the ACC. And not just that, but all year they're finishing the season nationally ranked. They've elevated the brand nationally
Yes, they
to
did.
not a top They're not going to be up there with Alabama and Georgia yet, with consistent contenders every year. But they put themselves back in a nationally relevant scope, which for some of these teams in the ACC and in the Big 12 and in these conferences that are not the SEC and the Big 10 is about as much as you can ask for from a head coach in his first year.
I think I will say I also just want to take a minute to maybe reflect on the impressiveness that Fran was able to keep the stars that were already here. Because now, during this time especially, we see all these names entering the transfer portal, and just take a minute to think about what this season may have been like if we didn't have our LaQuinn, if we didn't have our Rondé Gatson and things like that. So I think that can't go unsaid.
Well, the committee search that looked for the coach, they got the guy, and we have our guy now, and hopefully we have him for a long time because the kids actually really believe into what his philosophy is and believe into the coaching schemes, and they really, truly, genuinely love this guy.
Yeah, and I think he talked the talk and he walked the walk, right? In August, we were a little okay, even after Stanford, okay, all right, we've had some lofty expectations. What's going on here? But, what more can you ask for from a head coach in his first year? Realistically, they were never probably going to the college football playoff this year unless everything broke right. 90% of things broke right this year, and they had a great year. And they left off on a fantastic note, beating Miami at the Dome in the last game of the regular season. So I think you just have to give Fran credit for saying all these things in the offseason and drumming up this excitement and this energy, and then actually living up to it in year one. If this is year one, imagine what year 2 and 3 and 4 can bring.
It's going to be very exciting in the next few years.
How about this beautiful positivity to end out the Syracuse football season?
we wouldn't be talking like this when we lost to Miami. If we lost to Miami, we would not be talking like this.
No, we would not have been.
And now we get to move on to basketball, but who knows what that may bring.
Don't say. Hey, good time to tell you guys, as always, you can find us anywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're all over social media and our YouTube page. The handle's all the same, at the Orange Zone Podcast. In the beginning of the year, Fran Brown said, we're going to put the Block S back on the map, and that's exactly what he did. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here next week.